EA Games.
Challenge everything.
Electronic Arts is one of the first major video game publishers, dating back to its inception in 1982 and eventual creation a year later in 1983. Trip Hawkins, EA's creator, was a former Apple employee during the late 70s and early 80s. As one of Apple's first 40 employees, Hawkins made a substantial amount of money when Apple went public in 1982. After this, Hawkins cashed out and created his own company, Amazon Software. A year later, in 1983, his company name was officially changed to Electronic Arts. Today, EA is the world's third largest video game publisher, right behind Nintendo and Activision. Today in the video game industry, there are dozens of big-name publishers ranging from EA to Activision to Square Enix all the way down to Microsoft. Attached to these publishers are hundreds of developers who create the software that eventually hits our shelves. The industry is very difficult to enter due to the resource gap between small and large firms. Unfortunately, small firms don't have the money to compete with big-name publishers. Thus, the video game industry that EA takes part in follows the oligopolistic competition structure. As the fastest-growing entertainment medium in the world, video game sales in 2013 reached $93 billion in revenue, surpassing both movies and music. Out of this, EA was said to have made $3.8 billion in the 2013 fiscal year. The video game market is massive, and EA hopes that its high-quality games will help draw in a larger portion of the industry's revenues. A recent 2014 study has revealed that around 68% of all Americans play some kind of video game. Although almost every other age group plays some sort of video game, the average age of your typical gamer is actually 34 to 35 years old. With a market of such massive proportions, EA has had quite the large group to target. Subsequently, there are ad campaigns for almost every age group. However, in the past few years, EA has focused more on targeting the 20 and under demographic.
I think it'll make a person become insane.
This game is an atrocity.
It's revolting. It's violent. It's everything you love in a game. And your mom's gonna hate it.
Why would they even make something like this?
Dead Space 2, rated M.
A recent 2010 ad campaign for the game Dead Space 2 gives you a good perspective on EA's new advertising approach. Rather than selling games off of intelligent content and innovation, they're showing off the action and gore in hopes of luring in younger audiences. The slogan, "Your Mom Hates Dead Space," is a clear message to teenage buyers. Currently, the main source of revenue for EA is through the sale of its published products. Video games are something that people want, and they're willing to part with cash in order to purchase it. This classifies them as a good. For the regular $60 title, EA as the publisher receives 38% of the sales cost, while the developer of the game only makes around 10 to 11% of the total revenue. The other 50% covers the retailer's revenues, packaging fees, and marketing expenses. Like nearly every other good in the world, video game prices are dictated based off of a supply and a demand. Video games are the same product no matter where you buy them, and publishers don't want to favor a certain retailer in case it hurts their sales. This created a vertical pricing fix. The industry agreed that at a $60 price, this would be enough for most developers to see a return on the product that they've created. However, more importantly, at $60, the demand for the games would still be high enough to see high profits. Once games reach the shelves, this is where the traditional supply and demand come into place. More popular games can stay at their $60 price as long as the demand surpasses the supply. As an example, EA's popular Madden football series can maintain its initial $60 price, generally until next year's iteration is released. The demand is very high, and stores only have a limited supply. Once the supply runs out, only a small portion of this demand is filled, leaving the rest to wait for the next shipment. This high demand and low supply keeps the price high. On the other hand, a less popular game can drop in price very quickly. EA saw this effect with less popular games like 2012's Kingdoms of Amalur. Stores had the usual supply size, but demand was low. In order to increase the demand, the price dropped, and eventually the game plummeted to a $20 sale price. Generally, a video game takes 2 to 4 years to produce. However, they can cost tens and even hundreds of millions of dollars to fully fund. A game starts out as a single idea, usually from a team of executive producers. Once the idea is formulated, writers and artists conjure up scripts and concept art for the project. If the idea is approved, an EP is assigned to lead a team of coders, developers, actors, and artists to create the game. Once the programming and development of the game software is complete, the manufacturing process begins. Sales discs are created at EA's headquarters in Redwood, California. The manufacturing is nearly 100% automated, so outsourcing work to other countries wouldn't cut any costs. No manual labor is needed for this stage, so EA can keep their production at home, where it can be more easily observed and regulated. Once the game is copied onto the sales disc, they're packaged and shipped. Over the years, EA has worked to make their packaging more environmentally friendly and biodegradable. EA, and every other game publishing firm, is required to employ a company called Viva Group. Viva Group specializes in eco-packaging made of 33% less material and recyclable plastics. Along with the eco-friendly cases, EA is working towards lowering the environmental footprint of its offices all around the world. Light bulbs are now energy-efficient LEDs, new constructions are made according to environmental protocols, and a green paper is distributed to each and every employee in order to encourage environmental sustainability. The finished product is shipped to EA Redwood, where it is quality approved by EA's testers and producers. Developing in predominantly North American locales like Redwood, Edmonton, and Vancouver definitely affect the development costs. Workers at home expect a higher pay for the work they put in. However, EA pays this premium so they have more control over the product and are confident in the quality. In the years to come, digital games will become increasingly popular, reducing the need for packaged games. In the fourth quarter of 2013, EA reported that $410 million of their $808 million GAAP revenues was actually from digital products. This could be anything from mobile games to downloadable content, or even the digital copies of the full games themselves. Digital manufacturing is far less costly than physical distribution, so in the years to come, we may see a complete industry shift to digital. Already, the demand for digital products is rising due to convenience, and as this demand continues to rise, the industry may completely shift to digital. Looking at the whole production process, it's the development of the game that costs the bulk of the expenses. Development is extremely specialized, and EA hires the majority of its employees out of universities. These employees may have degrees anywhere from computer engineering to dramatic arts. Coders and programmers are most likely the most specialized employees in EA's repertoire. Many will specialize in programming, animation, sound engineering, physics, or computer science. These are all very professional disciplines that will take at least 4 years of education to achieve. Despite all the positives, there is a very negative side to EA. In North America, disposal of electronic waste is a major issue. Many video games end up in landfills, and although cases are now recyclable, most are not biodegradable. These games end up rotting in landfills, unable to decompose. Additionally, the manufacturing of video games requires crude oil. In one plastic case alone, 0.4 gallons of oil is required. A recent 2012 stat shows that if all video games were virtually downloaded, we could save 2.4 billion gallons of crude oil. Needless to say, video games have had a horrible effect on the environment. In the past several years, there have been several violent shootings across America. Amongst these shootings, video games have been identified as a possible motivational fact for the killers. This has created a negative externality, and governments across the world are pushing towards a taxing of violent video games. In order to lower the demand for mature games, many argue that they should be taxed. This issue is still heavily debated, and no ground has been made for or against the proposal. In 2008, EA faced a major lawsuit filed by its consumers. Allegedly, EA was said to have included security software that wasn't advertised or even hinted inside PC game downloads. Again, EA has been sued this year, now by the NCAA, for using players' likenesses without compensation. Last week, EA settled for a $40 million settlement in hopes of righting this wrong. ESPN stated that students should be receiving around $1,000 for each EA NCAA game that they've been part of. In the future, EA will need to continue mobile and digital growth in order to increase revenues and maintain its spot as a major player in the industry. According to Game Industry International, mobile-based games are the fastest-growing sector of the gaming industry. Already, mobile games have surpassed console sales, and there's no wonder why. According to Wired.com, 60% of tablet and smartphone owners have some kind of gaming application, and 67% of their time on said device revolves around this game. Peter Moore, EA's COO, believes that digital sales will surpass physical sales by as early as 2016. He likes to look at the music and film industries as an example of this shift. The ease of development for mobile games is a huge factor towards EA. The demand for these products is extremely high, and as mobile phones become more powerful and less expensive, the demand for mobile entertainment will continue to increase. As this trend continues, EA will work hard to adapting to the market. Secondly, EA's control of the sport game market puts them in a favorable position for increasing future revenues. When looking at EA's website, I realized that half of the sport games in the market are made by EA. With the rights to popular franchises like Madden, FIFA, and NHL, EA will continue to dominate the market in the years to come. Finally, EA's deal with Disney has created very optimistic projections for the firm. Mid-2013, it was announced that EA had exclusive control over all Star Wars products. Already, this has caused high revenue projections, resulting in an increase in demand, thus increasing their stock price. Thank you for listening, and please join us next time on Market Watch.